Pay attention. Parashat Vaetchanan has some connection to Parashat Ekev. When you start Parashat Ekev, it says in the pasuk, "Va'ekev tishmeun et hamishpatim ha'ele." Rashi wants to know the word Ekev over here. It's a little bit strange. What does it mean, Ekev? So Rashi is doresh the word Ekev to mean akev, heel. Take a look at Rashi. Va'ekev tishmeun im hamitzvot hakalot she'adam dash be'akevav tishmeun. If you will listen to the small mitzvot, to the more minor mitzvot, to the easier mitzvot, however you want to name it, that people step with their heel on them, which means there are certain things that people don't pay attention to. They don't consider them. You like to do the big mitzvot, but small mitzvot, you step on them, you pass on them. You don't perform the small mitzvot. If there's small averot, you step on them as well. Then you don't pay attention to them. So it says here in the parasha, such a beracha, if a person keeps those small mitzvot, the mitzvot that people step on them. Ekev tishmeun et hamishpatim ha'ele ushmartem v'asitem otam. What should be the bracha, the blessing? What should be the reward? ושמר אדוני אלוהיך לך את הברית, ואת החסד אשר נשבע לאבותיך, ואהבך, Hashem will keep the promise and the covenant, and He would love you. ואהבך, וברכך, He's going to bless you. וירבך, He's going to make you many, you'll have a lot of children, you'll be multiplied. וברך פרי בטנך, ופרי אדמתך. He'll bless your פרנסה. דגנך ותירושך ויצריך, שגר אלפיך. He keeps on going. ואשתר רצונך על האדמה אשר נשבע לאבותיך, לתת לך, ברוך תהיה מכל העמים, you'll be most blessed from all the nations. And he keeps on going, לברכך הקר והקר ובנתך, וסיר אדוני עמך כל חולי וכל מועד מצרים, so on and so forth. You pay attention, you really don't understand. For the small mitzvot, such a big reward. I understand for the big mitzvot. Why is it that for the small mitzvot, you get such a big reward? And secondly, Rashi says over there, אם המצוות הקלות שאדם דש בעקביו תשמעון, if you would listen to the small mitzvot, the people step on them with their heel. It should have been more correct to say tishmerun, not tishmeun. If you would keep them, tishmor means you keep them, which means if you step on them, so make sure you keep them. You don't step on them. What's tishmeun? If you would listen to them is a little bit strange, So we're trying to explain the following way. Let's just take you, 1 second. We'll get to the question soon, but let's get the questions going. Second question, third question. Let's see Parasha Chet, Pasuk, Perek Chet, Pasuk Vav Zayin, Shamarta et mitzvot Hashem Elokecha. And then Hashem says the following, Pasuk Zayin, Ki Adonai Elocha mevi'echa el eretz tova. Hashem brings you to a good land. Eretz nachale mayim, ayanot utomot. Such a beautiful, great land that has over there rivers, ayanot, wells, tehomot, yotzim babika v'ar, eretz chita usora v'kefen u'nahar v'rimon. There'll be a land that's blessed with the shiv'a minim, eretz shemen u'dvash, eretz asher lo b'miskenut tochal balechem. You're not gonna have to work hard in order to be able to eat bread in it. Lo techsar kol ba. Nothing will be missing. Eretz asher avanei varzel. Anything you want will be in that land, even metal to build your houses, to build anything you want. Maria tachtzov nechoshet ve'achalta ve'savata. You'll be able to eat over there. You'll be able to fulfill yourself with all the wealth. Uverachta et Hashem Elokecha al haaretz tova asher natan lach. All of the sudden, the pasuk takes a turn. Yishamer lecha pen tishkach et Adonai Elohecha. Be careful not to forget Hashem. Oh, what's the turn over here? I'm giving you. Be careful not to forget Hashem. ולבלתי שמור מצוותיו, משפטיו וחוקותיו, אשר אנוכי מצווך היום. And he keeps on explaining more specifically. פן תאכל, you might eat, ושבעת, and you'll be fulfilled. ובתים טובים תבנה וישבת, you build a good house, fancy places, ובקרך וצונך ירביון, כסף וזהב ירבה לך, וכל אשר ירבה לך, רם לבבך, your heart will be high, ושכחת את השם אלוקיך, and you forget Hashem all of the sun. What happened over here? What's the turn? I want to take you to last week's parasha, and you'll be able to see a little bit better. Last week's parasha, it's in Perek Vav, Pasuk Yud. Parashat Beit Hanan, Perek Vav, Pasuk Yud. It says in the Pasuk the following, והיה כי הביאך אדוני אלוהיך אל הארץ אשר נשבע לאבותיך לאברהם וליצחק ליעקב. Hashem will bring you to the land that he promised the forefathers. לתת לך ערים גדולות וטובות אשר לא בנית. He will give you that land, and he will give you, you'll have over there cities, big cities, good cities, גדולות וטובות אשר לא בנית, that you did not build, which means you're getting over here a city that's already built, a city that has in it everything that you want. You'll have roads, you'll have bridges, you'll have everything. You go into a city, usually if you go with when the pioneers came to the land of Israel, before they announced as Israel as being independent state, you'll had over there pioneers that are coming to dry the ponds and swamps and make sure to just take care of the very basic needs, make sure that the diseases will be away. All those things were taken care at the beginning by the pioneers. Over here, it says that you just go into a city, everything's ready for you. Arim gdolot vetovot, and it's good cities, which means you'll find a city with the houses, with everything that you need within a city, everything's ready, you just come in.
They have the same thing right now in Dubai. They're getting ready for us, right?
Okay. ערים גדולות וטובות אשר לא בנית. בתים מלאים כל טוב אשר לא מילאת. You'll find houses in there that are filled with all the good that you did not fill yourself, which means you walk into a house, you have everything you need in there. You have the chandeliers, you have the furniture, you have the appliances, you'll have the fridge with the food inside. David, you're allowed to eat the food when you go into the city and you see, you go into a house and you're the first one that grabs that house, and it's a beautiful mansion. You walk inside and you see the fridges. You just kicked the enemy. Everything's fridge, everything fresh in the fridge. You open the fridge, you look inside, you have over there pork, and you have over there all kind of different dishes that are made out of chicken and meat and fish and all. You have pizza with pepperoni. You have that? Soy. So over there you have the real thing, not soy. You have the authentic pizza with pepperoni. You have the sushi with the real deal, straight from Chinatown, not from the kosher sushi store. Are you allowed to eat them, David? No. So Chazal say, Batim meleim kol tuv asher lo mileta, afilu kdire de chazire, which means even if you find dry pigs that they made over there for snacking, they put them in the jar, they dry them out, and you take them, and while you're hungry a little bit, instead of snacking on some peanuts, you take some dry pigs like these pieces, and you snack on them. Chazal say that what this pasuk come to indicate is that whenever you go into that city, you can eat those things as well. Anything you want. It's here? It's here? You found it? Where is it? Let's see. Let's see. Which pasuk are we? On pasuk.
Why don't you make a bracha first?
Yud Aleph. You have to say a bracha. It's not here. He doesn't bring it here. But this is what Chazal say over here in the Gemara. And there's a machloket, Rambam and Ramban. The Rambam says, even today, if you walk into a city and you're at war, and when you walk, you conquer that city, and you're very hungry, and you need to eat, so you can go into the place and eat whatever you found. That's what the Rambam says. The Ramban asks on the Rambam, what's the chidush? If it's a life danger, you walk into a place and you don't have what to eat, and you are in life danger because you're starving, so of course you can eat, right? Just like the Israeli army in the last war. They sent them without food, right? So you walk without food, of course. If you find food, you need to eat. Otherwise, how are you going to fight? It's a life dangerous situation, right? So therefore, if you find anything, of course you can eat. That's what the Ramban asks on the Rambam. But Chazal say, without any life danger, you walk into a city, you find in the fridge food, no question about it, make a beracha and eat that food.
With the bracha?
Of course with bracha. If you're allowed to eat, so the Halacha in Shulchan Aruch brings down, if a person eats davar that's taref, but he eats it because of a life danger, sakana, you make a beracha. If you're eating something that's not kosher and you're eating it for not because of life danger, then you don't say a bracha. But if it is life danger, so you eat it in a permissible way, right? Second, let's go to the second pasuk. What does the pasuk says? Let's see what this pasuk says over here. Batim meleim kol tov asher lo bilita. Borod chatzuvim asher lo chatzavta. There be wells that you did not dig. Kramim vezetim asher lo natata. Vineyards and orchards that you did not plant. Ve'achalta ve'savata. You can eat over there and you'll be fulfilled. Yishamer lecha, again, the same turn like we found in our parasha, last week's parasha. Yishamer lecha pen tishkach et Adonai Elohecha, et Adonai asher hotziacha me'eretz Mitzrayim mibeit avadim. Be careful not to forget Hashem. All of the sons, same warning again. Et Hashem lokecha tira, oto tavod, mishmot tishavea, and so on and so forth. And the Mefarshim say over here, if you take a look at the Mefarshim, take a look at this Sforno, he says that you're getting something that you did not work. You go into a place and you have everything you need. You're getting such a beautiful beracha, seems like. And the question is, why do you have the warning over here? And we wanted to say a perush, but first we want to hear the question that David wanted to ask. About the pasuk in
Parashat Ekev, it says, "Vayach Ekev Tishmeun et Mishpatim Ha'el." The word Tishmeun doesn't mean like to hear, to listen. It means to accept.
Right, to comply.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm saying that's a good ha'ara. I'm asking, that is true. You have to comply, but the more correct language that the Torah should have used, if it means that you are stepping on something, which means you are violating something, right? Stepping on something means you're violating those things, right? Let's say you see there's a red light, you look to your right, you look to your left, vayar ki en ish, vayifen ko v'cho vayar ki en ish, you go straight, right? Why do you go straight? Because you're stepping on the law. You could care less about the law. You're violating the law, right? Same thing would be on the cell phone. You look to your right, you look to your left, no police, pick up the cell phone and talk. Why? Because you're stepping on the law. You don't care about the law. You're violating the law. So for violating the law, the more correct language would be tishmerun, which means keep the law. Make sure to guard the law. Tishmeun, to comply or to listen, is much more light language, which doesn't go necessarily on such things normally. And it's just a that's a feeling that should not be here. And the way we wanted to explain is the following. We want to say over here something that you all know, and that is there's a big difference between a person that works towards his success and a person that receives his success without any work. Which means you'll see many times that a person that made it very big, he was able to become extremely rich.
Self-made.
He made himself, yeah. That person, usually you'll see that he's very particular of how he spends the money. You're not going to see him spending right and left. He's very careful about spending money. Even though he could spend endless. He has endless property and endless money that he could spend, but you'll see he'll be very careful. If you don't need that tissue, you don't use that tissue. Something fell down, he picks it up. You don't need to spend this, you don't spend it. You can find a coupon for getting the discount, use that discount. You don't just spend the money. I was in places where the people that were extremely wealthy, some of the richest persons in the Jewish communities, and I saw the way they worked to make their money, and I saw how they were careful, spending every dime, every penny. It wasn't just spent, it wasn't just thrown away. And usually that happens to a person that was self-made. But what happens after he passes away and he leaves his wealth to his children? Usually you don't have that same, same strictness, being careful, same view on the wealth. Rather, the children already are much more easy spenders. They're much easier on their money. They'll go and they'll spend. They're not going to be careful. They could be much more careless about it. Why is that?
Easy come, easy go.
That's it. Since they didn't work for it, they don't appreciate the value of the money. And that's usually what happens. You find the Gemara, interesting Gemara in Baba Batra, Daf Yud Aleph. Over there, the Gemara says that Munbaz HaMelech was a great king called Munbaz. He was a righteous king. And it says over there that he was mebazbez nechasav v'nichsei avotav. He spent the money.
He's wasting his money.
He wasted. He spent the money, his money, and his parents, his father's money, which means his father was a king, and he collected the money, and he stored that money. He didn't spend it right and left. And this Munbaz HaMelech spent it. But what did he spend it on? Tzedakah. He gave it to the tzedakah. So the Gemara over there says that the brothers came and asked him, why are you spending money like that? He says, what do you want from me? I'm spending in the right places. Our fathers didn't spend it on the right places. They didn't spend the money at all. They kept it for themselves in the storage and do nothing with it. I'm giving it away to the right places. I'm getting myself olam haba. I'm doing the right thing. In one hand, he's saying beautiful things. He's teaching us a great musar. But on the other hand, why does the Torah calls it ha-mebazbez? We found that he was mebazbez. He spent the money, such a lashon, mebazbez. Rather, the Gemara tries to tell us probably a hint that by him it was easy. Even for tzedakah, sometimes a person gives, but since he receives this easy, you can give it also easy, right? And you find this many times by people that win the lottery. What happens to people that win the lottery? They lose it. They lose it. Why is that? Because they never worked for their money. All of a sudden, they'll spend everything. I got over here, very nice. I was researching a little bit. I found some nice stories I want to share with you. Few of the people that made it big, Shalom Aleichem, made it big, and what happened to them? Just few. There's a list of them. You can go and see one after the others. Stories over stories. A person in the name of Toth, Alex and Rhoda Toth. They were a couple from Florida, and they won $13 million in 1990. You can understand what it is today. Today, for $13 million, you can maybe buy 2 houses over here in Queens, right? Hardly. But back then, $13 million, you can...
I can tell them like 6 of them.
That's commission.
Oh, so what happened to them, they spent the money right and left. Eventually, they were charged with tax fraud. And they started a trial, and the husband, Alex, took it to heart. He got a heart attack. Before even trial started, he passed away with a heart attack. His wife, after trial, after losing the money, and after being charged with tax fraud, she went to jail for 2 years. That's her story. So you can see what kind of blessing it was for them, the winning of the lottery. Another story is Billy Bob Harrell Jr. He won $31 million. That was in Texas jackpot in 1997, not a long time ago. He donated right and left. Since he started donating, he donated to his church, he bought all kind of things for them, gave the poor. All of a sudden, all the strangers and all the paupers and started collecting around him. He wasn't able to have such a lifestyle where constantly he was harassed by strangers. So he felt he got so depressed, he got so unhappy, and he committed suicide. That's what happened to him. His final words were, and even though he had no more money, he spent everything. His final words that he said to his financial advisor was, "Winning the lottery is the worst thing that ever happened to me." That's what he said. His last words. Another story, very interesting story. William Post. He won $16.2 million, 1988, in Pennsylvania, over here. What happened to him, as soon as he wins the money, his brother hires a hitman to try to kill him. He was able to survive it, and his brother goes to jail. So one person is already in jail, and his ex-wife, obviously what happens when you win the lottery, who's behind you right away trying to get your money? Your ex-wife, right? The first one, ex-wife, takes a third of his finance. He would rather not win the lottery and not give her a dollar. He would rather stay poor, and she wouldn't get a dollar. She took a third of his money, right? Just to understand how it is in a divorce battle. You rather not win the lottery. Shortly after, 3 years after, the court said that he has to give her you're getting a monthly payment, right? You can either get it all at once, you can get a high monthly payment. He was getting monthly payment. 3 years later, he stopped paying her. The court froze his assets, and he's winning coming incomes, right? So he had to go for that, and he had also a lot of debts with many other people. Somebody came to his door to collect his debt. He took his gun. Listen to this story. He took his gun and he fired at him. He went to jail for that. He went to prison for that. Few years later, when he was already completely poor, with any money anymore, his brother's in jail, his wife is taking a third of his money, he's already in prison. After he was taken out, he lived completely poor, he had no more money whatsoever. A few years later, he died. He won at 1996, he passed away at 2006. In the last years, he was collecting food stamps to make it just to bring food to the table. That's his story. And the last story, you can see many, many more, by researching, is David Lee Edwards. He won $27 million, a lot of money, 2001. He spent his money over drugs, he spent his money over cars, he bought himself an airplane, a small airplane. 5 years later, he overspent everything. He became so poor that shortly after he died from stress, you have to understand the stress, you get divorced, you get all kinds of things. Shortly after he dies, and his family weren't even able to have the money to bury him. They had to burn his body. That's the stories of those people. So this is what's going on over here in this parasha. In this parasha, Hashem says to you, be careful. I'm giving you over here a blessing in one hand. I'm going to give you cities that you did not build. I'm going to give you houses that you did not fill. I'll bring you wells, parnasa, orchards, vineyard, grain, fields, everything you want. You coming in there and you win. You literally won the lottery right now. From being in the desert with nothing, you're going to Eretz Israel, you'll have everything. On that, Hashem comes and warns you right away, right after that. Lo, right? The pasuk. I'm going to give you this, I'm going to give you that. And what does it say right after that? Be careful. Be careful not to forget Hashem, because naturally, that's the next thing that's going to happen. In our parasha as well, Parashat Ekev, that's what we're saying in Perek Chet. After he says, I'm going to give you such a land, Eretz Chita Usorah, Gefen Vetenari V'Rimon, Eretz Asher Lo B'Miskenu Tochal Ba. Right away comes the warning. You're getting so much? Be careful. Again, same warning. Yishamer lecha pen tishkach et Hashem Elokecha. And on that, the parasha starts. Vaya ekev tishmeun. Why ekev tishmeun? Because you need to understand, in order to be able to succeed in anything, it has to be slowly, step by step. That's what ekev means over here. Ekev doesn't mean that you just step on them. It means that those mitzvot that people step on them when you come to practice and to start doing the right thing, make sure that you do it step by step. You take the first step, which means you make the small mitzvot. If something's too big on you, don't jump too high. Go step by step. First, make the first step, second step, third step. And eventually, you'll be able to reach all those things that bring you the beracha. But if one jumps too high, you jump too high, you lose everything. By the way, it's a pasuk in Mishlei. The pasuk says the following: Birkat Hashem ita ashir, velo tosif etzev ima. Very strange pasuk. The bracha of Hashem, Hashem gives you a blessing, right? The person needs a blessing. Who does he go to get blessing? You go to the rabbi in the shul. If you need a better blessing, you find the tzaddik, you go to the tzaddik. If you need the ultimate blessing, you fly to Eretz Yisrael, you go to Rav Chaim Kanievsky. That's where you go. You go to Gdolei Ador. What's the highest blessing that anybody can dream of? It's Birkat Hashem. Hashem gives you a blessing. So what does he say in the pasuk? Birkat Hashem ita ashir. If Hashem gives you a blessing, you become rich, right? How many of you heard stories over tzaddikim that gave beracha, and the person that received the beracha became a billionaire? Very famous stories, I don't need to tell you. Over here, not a tzaddik gives you bracha. Hashem, Birkat Hashem ita ashir. What's the next thing that the pasuk says? Velo tosif etzev ima. It's not going to bring you any sorrow. Of course not. If you get a beracha, how would it bring you sorrow? How would it bring you etzev? Lo tosif etzev ima. But according to what we're saying, comes out very good. Lo tosif etzev ima. It's not going to add any etzev, any tsar, any anguish, anything bad. Why not? Because when you get the bracha of Hashem, it's endless. All of the sudden, Hashem gives you a bracha. You're like, עד שיבלו שפתותינו מלומר די, right? The pasuk says that the bracha of Hashem would be to the point that you say enough, until your lips are being already got tired of saying enough. Why would a person say enough? Because you don't need so much. But over here we're saying that bracha that comes on your head, pulls on your hand, asher lo banita, asher lo mileta, asher lo chatzavta, all those things you have to be careful. Yishamer lecha pen tishkach et Hashem Elokecha.